Hello and welcome to my review of my entire Lumineth Realm-Lords collection for Warhammer Age of Sigmar from Games Workshop. Now my collection right here with that battle tome will cost you in today's money about £830, probably about £100 more or so than it did a few years ago. I've been looking through the Lumineth Realm-Lords section of the store, and it seems like I never picked up the Sonari Enlightener. I guess it was a kit that came out with another kit maybe, and I haven't included my Ares unit in there either. So I'd probably say it's closer to sort of £900 this collection now. I would like to get a couple more minis, such as that Enlightener and the Stoneheart King. I think I keep calling my one Alarith, which is the Spirit of the Mountain. I think I keep calling him Avelenor, but he is actually Alarith. Probably would like to get some more Wardens, some Sentinels and Dawn Riders, and a Venari Lord Regent, and a couple more Ballistas. But other than those duplicates, the collection is pretty much done. I thought I would combine waves 1 and 2 into this collection video rather than just do a review of wave 2, but it's quite easy to spot the wave 2 models in this video. They are the ones that aren't sprayed, such as Lyrior, the Wind Chargers, Severeth, the Endless Spells, the Ballista, the Shrine, and so on. Wave 1 are all the ones that are partially painted and sprayed, and this is one of the reasons why I don't start painting my models. It's because of the schedule of trying to give you reviews of each of them and a full collection video at the end. It looks a bit odd when some models are painted, some aren't, and some are sprayed and some aren't. I'd rather just give you the full collection video where they're all grey. So we'll have a look at some of the units individually. I'll go through my thoughts and opinions on them. All of these models you see before you do now have individual reviews on the channel. So if you like Lumineth Realm-Lords, then under the playlist Lumineth Realm-Lords, you'll find their videos. So let's just go from left to right really, and we'll start off with the Venari Orellan Sentinels. You can see them right there. I will bring a couple of these models in the collection to the camera. So this is kind of what each one of these Sentinels looks like. I thought they looked quite cool, and then I found out there weren't really any options in terms of poses to put them in. You have them all with their notched arrows ready to loose, and that's it. They're all in this pose, no variation at all. It's a lot of money, £40 for 10 of these. You know, it is £4 per Sentinel in a single pose. 10 of them looks all right, but 20 of them, I'm not sure you can really kind of get away with having 20 of them all looking the same. So a bit disappointing with those. Let's just move to the Ballista right there. Again, this Ballista is now at the price point of £37. I think it should be no more than 30. There's not a huge number of parts with it. You do get a couple of options for the operator and the loader, I guess. But I do question just how many of these you would need in your army. But they're pretty decent rules-wise. Now, looking at the Stone Guard, they follow the same trend as the Blade Lords, the Wardens and the Sentinels. So that means they're going to cost you £40 for 5 of them, which I think is extremely expensive for 5 of these. And they don't have any pose options. The only changes you can make to them is just with their hammers, like the, you know, to put those like diamond picks on the end of them. So an extremely expensive unit now. Because of their lack of posability and options, I would have liked to have seen Games Workshop at least include 10 of them now to fall in line with the Wardens and the Sentinels. Sitting atop of them though is this Alarith Stone Mage right here. Very cool model, one of the coolest. You don't actually glue his pedestal thing I want to call it, to the rock. It's attached with this little tree on the back, but a very cool model. But again, almost £30 now for this one. Just behind him are the Blade Lords. Cool looking minis, the same price as the Stone Guard, but you're getting some sort of samurai feels to them with their kind of flags at the back. But they are dual wielding these big Sunmetal great swords that don't have the Sunmetal rule, which I do find a bit odd for their rules. Behind them you've got a mishmash of characters, everything from Alania and Elithor to the Sonari Caligrave and the Lawseeker, as well as the Banner Blade, which is now topping a whopping £24. But as you can see, it's definitely one of the tallest minis in this set. I'd go as far as to say it was the third tallest. I think it's just very slightly shorter than Alarith. So technically fourth place after the Shrine, and the Shrine being the tallest, and Teclis. You've also got the endless spells there, which are alright, very quick to put together, not a huge amount of detail for those. Another tall miniature, this Flying Fox Severeth. Nice mini, again, still would look great with two of them, but also topping £40. So, you know, you're going to end up spending £80 if you want both of them for slightly different look. Two Sprue Teclis, I really made a big thing about his price. I made a big thing about all of Lumineth prices, and as you can tell, nothing's really changed. When Teclis was released, I think it was £105, which was a lot 3 years ago. 100 quid isn't that much now, is it? But yeah, he's now £115 for two sprues. Lovely base though. Pose is, yeah, I'm not a big fan of the pose. I think his staff should be down, or his sword should be down, or, you know, he's just like, just his pose is comical, it really is. But Selenar, you know, his winged steed creature thing is very nice, and the base is very nice too. Alarith, the Spirit of the Mountain, which is flanking him there. This is one of the reasons why I probably would like Avalanor, the Stoneheart King, to flank his sort of his right side with the dual hammers, and looks a little bit different. You know, the mountains are different on its back, and the horns are a bit different. There's definitely and the stance is a bit different. Like there's definitely enough differences to get both, whereas Severeth and the Spirit of the Wind, probably not. You could proxy one as the other. I think that would be fine. Again, a pricey model. So Alarith right there, the Spirit of the Mountain, the third tallest mini in the Lumineth army after the Shrine and Teclis. It's a nice model, and there are enough difference between Alarith and Avalanor to pick up both. The only sort of downside with that is that they are now £77.50, so they've gone up by over £9 in the past 3 years. They were 68, and with a discount that would have been about £54. £54 isn't too bad compared to sort of, you know, almost 80, which is one of the reasons why this army has kind of stayed static, is because the prices to begin with were quite high for this brand new faction, brand new army. But now, 3 years later, of course, they're even higher. So the motivation to complete the army and to buy duplicates and things, well, it decreases over time, but definitely that the increase in prices is a negative force multiplier in that decision. If we just move down from Alarith, you've also got these Wind Chargers, and one of my favourite models in the whole army. This is the thing, there are a lot of, not dodgy, but there are a lot of questionable models in this army. There are some very nice models, and there are some kits that are just let down by poor poses and options. But Lyrior and the dual kit, the Warden, Venari Warden, is not one of those kits. It's a very nice kit. The dual build is fantastic. It's not too pricey. I would have expected it to be more by now, like £45 or so. You know, considering you can get Lyrior for the same price as like 5 Stoneguard or 5 Blade Lords, is really, really, it's still good. The Dawn Riders, over to the right hand side, are nice too, but now you're looking at £44 for models that are smaller, and I would probably say consist of less components than the wind chargers. The only downside with the wind chargers is the poses. They're all in the same sort of sentinel poses of notching their arrows, and it would have been nice to have a couple that weren't. In a similar vein as one of my favourite models in the Force, you've also got the Light of Eltharion right there. One of my favourite models. He looks decent, and also the base is good. But more than that, I think it was an accomplishment of Games Workshop to create a miniature that didn't have a body inside the armour. This was like the first time I'd seen them do this, attempt this, and they pulled it off very well. As you can see, the armour is all hollow in there, and it's very clever how they've managed to connect all the pieces together and make a model out of you know, basically a walking suit of armour with no limbs whatsoever. So yeah, if anything, it's a very cool looking model, but also the sort of technology and the sculpting behind that is fantastic. So yeah, definitely one of my favourite models, if not the favourite model, along with Lyrior for me. Also to the right hand side, we've got another £40 kit, which is the Orallan Wardens. With these, I don't mind them being in the same pose. It would look a bit awkward if a couple of them had those really long spears like held upright. It makes sense for them to be in this position. If you get another 10 and have 20, you could have a very nice kind of porcupine formation. I think the shields go very well with these long spears, and yeah, they just look great. I do think it's a bit odd that the sort of commander has only got the swords rather than a spear and shield himself, but you know, that's the only kind of thing I can bring them down for. Oh, and yeah, their price of course. Then right there we've also got the Myari's Purifiers, which I did go out and pick up Warhammer Underworld box set just to get them, because I really like all the models in that set. I say all the models, there's only 4, but they work very well and just gives me more variation. So I could quite happily use Myari as a stone mage. I could use the Stone Guard there and swap him with one of the normal Stone Guard, and likewise with the Sentinel. And that's what this sort of collection, the Force, is missing: variety in all of their units. Last but not least, let's talk about one of the best Age of Sigmar scenery pieces, which is the Shrine Luminor, as well as that Wind Mage up there. I mean, Wind Mage, I'm a sucker for any character flying about on a cloud, of course. But the Wind Mage is a nice prospect, but I feel does look a bit out of place with all, you know, the rest of the army. It's the only one on a cloud. The Severeth does have some swirling ribbons and things around it, but that's about it. There's no other kind of cloud-based units and things, or flying units for that matter, other than Teclis. But getting back onto the Shrine Luminor, fantastic piece, especially when it's all painted up. Gives you that illusion that it is just a monument that's suspended in kind of mid-air, and a great free set of buffs for the Force. You don't have to pay any points for it, and a lovely anchor point and scenery piece for any Age of Sigmar game really. So in conclusion, did I regret spending back then £600–700 or so on this entire army? Kind of is the answer. The majority of my collection is Warhammer 40k and Horus Heresy, so there's always room for Age of Sigmar. The main driving force behind me collecting this army was I wanted to bring it all to you guys. That typically happens with a lot of models, a lot of armies that you see on the channel. Most of the time the motivation is not for me to pick them up and to collect them and to have those experiences. It's to show you guys. And I take equal satisfaction whether all of those unboxings and reviews and recent reviews have either dissuaded you from picking them up or persuaded you to pick them up. Because if they've done one or the other, then I feel vindicated in spending that money to pass on the knowledge so that you may equip that to make your own decisions. So as the final end of this video, my favourite model, I would say, is the Light of Eltharion, with Lyrior being the second. In terms of the model itself, but also Lyrior with it being a dual kit. The Shrine Luminor is up there if it wasn't for that kind of awful join gap around the model and it being made in China in that cheaper, harder plastic. My least favourite model is probably the Caligrave, just for those stilt shoe type things, but also disappointing models in terms of a kit would be the Stone Guard, the Sentinels, and to some extent Techless in the lacking of posability. But what do you guys think? Please do put your thoughts and opinions down below of what you think of Lumineth Realm-Lords. Which is your favourite model out of this collection and which is your least favourite? Please do put your thoughts and opinions down below as always. Thank you for watching. Techless protects.